going to be digging into forecast spending and strategic ways to increase revenue by optimizing spend. That is a tongue twister. I'm sure ChatGPT came up with that. So instead of just having one person up here doing a PowerPoint where you have to listen and just see a bunch of stuff, we're actually going to bring up 3 very special guests that I'll be doing a panel discussion with. This way you can learn from industry experts, and we can have a really in-depth conversations of ways you can optimize your spending as we finish up Productronica 2025. So the first guest we're going to have is Joel from Koh Young. Joel, why don't you come on up?
Thank you.
We'll insert an applause mic in the final edit, all right? All right, all right. The next guest we have is Alan Garcia with Jabil. All right, thank you for the cue. Perfect. And last, we have a marketing expert, Claire with WNIE, What's New in Electronics Marketing. Come on up. The goal of this presentation, as we finish up the end of 2024, we're looking at our Q4 spend, and we're wrapping up the total financials, right? We're looking at the P&L. We're looking at how much revenue we generated. As we're going into 2025, depending on where you're located in the United States, things may be looking very optimistic. Things may be a little bit more on the downside. There's a lot of instability out there. So what we're going to focus on, and our goal today, is to come together as 3 different entities or 4 different entities of the business and see if we can come up with some strategies that we can put in place that focus more on optimizing your spending and generating more net revenue as opposed to focusing on generating more new business. So I'm going to go have a seat. Joel, if you'd like to go ahead and introduce yourself and your role with Koh Young.
Sure. Hello, everyone. My name is Joel Scutchfield. I'm the general manager for the Americas branch of Koh Young Technology. Koh Young is a Korean vision automation inspection company, and very happy to be here today and participate. Hope I can offer something that helps, that's worthwhile.
All right, go ahead and pass the mic to Alan. Alan, why don't you take it away?
Hello, everyone. My name is Joel Garcia. I work in Jabil in the indirect organization. I've been working for more than 15 years in indirect procurement strategy for my current company and others in my experience. So I think for all the people here, I'm not going to say anything new, but I really hope to my experience and my strategies could help and can help you to get a good understanding on what we are doing in the industry right now.
Wonderful, thank you. And Claire, why don't you take it away?
Hi, I'm Claire Saunders from What's New in Electronics. It's a global industry hub. We focus on telling industry news from every aspect of the electronics sector. And again, I hope I can offer something that's useful on how marketing is so important to growing your business.
Wonderful. Thank you all. My name again is Justin Worden. I'm the Vice President of Sales and Marketing for a company called Rocca Solutions. We're a North American manufacturer and distributor for consumable products. So hopefully we can help you guys optimize your spending once again. So just to recap who we have here on the panel, we have capital equipment. We have an end user with a company like Jabil, a large EMS circuit board manufacturer. We have marketing, and then we have consumables. So when you summarize and take a look at the spend over a year, with the hard cost, you have employment, you have overhead costs, but a lot of the spend that goes into the operation of a business, we're going to start with capital equipment because that is typically the biggest ticket item. So Joel, from your experience, what are some of the main challenges that first come up when a buyer is coming to you looking for capital equipment?
Well, certainly in our case, we're talking inspection, right? And there's multiple points in the SMT assembly process that require inspection. And inspection at those various locations delivers various levels of information and types of information, I should say, results, measurement-based data. Inspection is really twofold. It's used for making sure we're building good product, right? It's good or it's bad. But more importantly, I think at the end of the day, and not that that's not important, but using the data to improve the process. That's really what we're all about. We want to correct the process to the point we're not in a situation where we're at high risk for producing bad product, right? And in this particular day and age where you see AI everywhere, the tools are now becoming something that can really in a sense, self-heal your process through the use of machine learning and AI, using those results data, that results data that's applied. So kind of coming back to my original statement about the fact that we have multiple points in the line, the first question is where do you start? We only have so much money in many cases, and just as an example, if we implement a tool for solder paste inspection at the front end of the line, and again, you see the signs here in the halls relative to the fact that the print process, not the printer itself, but the print process is generally responsible for somewhere in the neighborhood of 70% of the defects found on the line, right? Typically at AOI or in-circuit test, et cetera, et cetera. So if we implement in that location, obviously at SPI, post-print, now we have basically eliminated 70% of the opportunities that we would see further down the line. So again, we're eliminating before we even really start the process the opportunity for defects to be created. So that's just one example. And again, the use of AI now, you want to be thinking about what kind of tools are available to potentially reduce human intervention, give more insightful data, again, self-correct potentially. So there's a lot of opportunity there. Again, you just have to know the right questions to ask, and that's a little bit different depending on what need you're trying to fill, right?
Well, I think you did a great job with that question. I thought we'd make it at least to the second question before we started talking about artificial intelligence, but that seems to be a common theme with every interview I do. So let's go ahead and pass the mic on to Alan. So Alan, you're sitting there, and now we're listening to a company like Koh Young. They're a big spender. They're a staple in this industry. Everyone pretty much knows who that brand is. And they're sitting here talking about different ways to improve the process. What I really heard him summarize is maybe it's worthwhile making an investment up front that prevents downtime or failures or misprints getting through the line, because that generates an ROI almost immediately, right? So as a buyer for a company like Jabil, another staple in this industry, what steps or secrets can you share that you go into and you analyze when you're looking at buying a piece of equipment like something from Koh Young?
Okay, it's interesting, and something that I always say to the people that is in sourcing position is the data is very important. I mean, we never knew that the data is going to become more valuable than the gold at this time, right? So data is very important when I'm taking any decision in regards of buying equipment, buying water, buying everything. The data and the information that I have, I can access with the tool that I have in my company is going to help me to identify what is the best, in this case, what is the best sourcing that I can get, for example, for equipment. So it's very important that I know the suppliers that I'm going to buy, but also not being just focus on the money, or not just being focused in trying to achieve my KPI and do a negotiation based on that. We need to go beyond that and understand what he is really selling. I mean, like, what is the machinery? I need to have my meetings with engineering, understanding the complete market, and I have to study the data that is from the doors of the company to the outside in the market, but also internally. So I can identify if that any decision that I take in regards of a supplier could be potentially affect the downtime, could be potentially affect the performance in the lines. So my secret, there is no secret at this time in this industry, but what I always recommend is we need to go beyond when we are in a sourcing position. We need to understand the product, we need to understand the machinery, and we need to take a team decision together with the engineering experts on the different technologies. So if you ask me, when you are in a procurement position, what do you know, or what is the biggest value that you have? It is that I don't focus only in negotiation. I try to go deep into the technology that the suppliers are offering and the market. And based on that, we take a decision for the company.
That was very well said, and I think the biggest takeaway that I heard is that with Jabil, they're making the investment to make sure that the buyers and the people working the procurement are actually understanding the process and are investing their time into what they're buying. There's many times, even myself selling paper, will get on the phone with somebody and they actually have no idea what they're doing. Not that, I take that back, I misspoke there. They know what they're doing. Their goal is to negotiate a lower price on a piece of product that they're buying, but they don't actually know what it's doing in the assembly process. So for you to take the time and with your team invest into learning the process and learning about the equipment that you're going to purchase helps you make a much more informed decision and make sure you're not wasting money. Now, the real challenge here for me is how do I tie in capital equipment with Koh Young, buying from Jabil, into marketing it with Claire, but this is what I do best. So the real thing we're talking about is ROI, return on investment. And that is one of marketing's biggest selling points. You need to go and you need to spend money on something that is going to generate income. So Claire, you have many years working in this industry as an expert. You're responsible for many of the booths that are even built at this show. But with a productronica show like this, the amount of investment they put into it, how do they truly get an ROI? Is it hoping someone comes to your booth and you get a PO right then and there? Because I heard those days are gone like 10 years ago.
Unfortunately, those days are gone. I think everybody wishes they weren't, but they are. Things have been very tough, and unfortunately, the first thing that goes in the spend of a business when things are tough is marketing, which is absolutely crazy when you look at the booths that we have here, the amount of money that's invested, the amount of money that's put in for 4 days. But it is the biggest show in the world. It's the most important platform for people to be at. But both you guys have mentioned that how your businesses grow, how you perform, how you learn is knowledge. And knowledge is power. You learn how to do the latest equipment because you listen to your customers, and you generate new products because you listen to what they need. And you do the same. You listen to what the people you're buying from are doing so that you can work out what you're going to spend your money on, which is precious because there's lots of people who do similar products and they all have different key selling points. Everybody has a selling point that they want to push across. So I think marketing should never be overlooked. Your brand is your power. And if you don't put that across properly and you don't get it into the right messaging and get it to the right people, then you're going to struggle. And we're very lucky with What's New in Electronics because we talk about everything that happens in the electronics sector. We don't just focus on people that have got lots of money to spend. We want people to have a rounded view of anything that's going on in the industry. We talk about everything from design to final manufacture. And yeah, I think that makes us unique in our platform, but it also allows companies to understand that to be able to speak to that audience, to be able to engage with that audience will generate revenue because there's 12 halls, 14 halls here. It takes a lot to walk around these halls and you're never going to see everybody. So to get that message across beforehand, during and after is so important.
Yeah, you're absolutely spot on with that. And I think what people need to really focus on and what I've learned from working with you over the years is the trade show doesn't begin the day the doors open. It doesn't begin when you write the first check to pay for the booth. It begins as soon as this show's over, you start marketing and start preparing for the next show. Because that is time, it's not money. And that's another strategic way to, even though time is money, I'm not putting that away. That's another way that you can generate eyeballs on your company without writing a check, without sending the money. And one thing that I'm very passionate about when I talk to so many people here is I know the money that goes into these booths. I pay for one, I do it myself. And the more eyeballs you can get on the booth outside of the expo, the more return on that investment you're going to get. That's meaning paying for someone to come walk around with cameras, paying a sponsorship so you have your name at the front. So then people are looking for your booth before they even walk in. I know that's something that Koh Young has adopted quite a way, and that is more branding than marketing. So Koh Young, coming back to you to tie in some marketing here. Talk about why you guys are very friendly with your marketing dollars when it comes to sponsorships.
Well, I think we know very well, where I like to use the word fish where the fish are, right? This is what I tell my sales guys, fish where the fish are, right? Go to where, you're going to catch the most fish. And it's these types of events that draw in the largest, groups of people for our space, for SMT manufacturing, that exist. And so we have to be present. We know the value that we get from that, from an overall growth perspective, right? We're looking at forming partnerships, and I think when we go back to the forecasting spend, to the optimizing your dollar as a user, and you're making an investment not only in a piece of equipment, but you're really making an investment in a partnership. We want you looking at things like total cost of ownership, not only for the machine that you're buying today, but looking at what else is on the horizon, from that supplier. Because again, with the going back to the AI topic, the smart factory realization initiative, operational excellence, you really have to understand, how your partners can help you along that path. What kind of data can they generate? Can they provide insightful data that can be utilized for improving the process, as I talked about earlier, to make it potentially self-healing, where we're making adjustments on the fly to the screen printer or the pick and place machine based on the results we're seeing, in our case, at inspection, SPI, AOI, et cetera, et cetera. So that's really a big piece to the puzzle. And again, the message that we really try to deliver whenever we're in a space like this at a trade show, that it's not a single machine opportunity. And as the buyer, as somebody that's acquiring it, we really encourage you to not look at it that way, because there's so much more to it. And you see that as you're walking around. And again, with the AI, with the development, what's on the horizon? Where are they going? How can this particular supplier take me to where I need to be? Can I trust them to do that?
Very well spoken. And sometimes I sit in these seats, and I have the luxury of being able to do so many interviews and interview so many people that do these shows. I forget sometimes that I also work for a company that sells products. So I'm going to share some of my thoughts on it from a Rocket Solutions. And at Rocket Solutions, our motto is everything you need. And the reason for that is we sell consumables. So from when you walk into a facility, you remove all the equipment, we're selling everything else. I'm selling the product that goes into the equipment. I'm selling the paper that goes into the printer, the cleaning chemicals that go into the cleaning machines. And the reason we do it that way, and when I sit down, my background is not engineering, if you haven't picked up on that yet. I'm a finance guy. So I love working with people like Alan, because I look at it as very strategic. How can I work with Alan and show his company that the more money I save him, the more money my company makes? That creates a win-win, right? If you and I can partner up. And the way we do that, when you talk about consumable products, you're talking about high volume, very low priced items. So I need to sell a lot of these to make money. And if I only offer one product, what Alan has to then go do is he has to go shop and spend time shopping 5, 6, 7 different companies to get 6 or 7 different products. And when you do it that way, you end up spending a lot of time in issuing many very small purchase orders. It's different with capital equipment. One purchase order, one piece of equipment for a lot of money. For me, stencil rolls may be $10 a piece. That's one line item. So what we try to do when we partner up with people like Alan is we're going to look at that and we're going to see how many different line items we can get onto a purchase order, not because I want to consume all that business, I do, but I want to save him time, because if he has to go shop 3 vendors, 3 quotes for 7 different items, that's a lot of time. Time is money. Now I saved you time. The other thing it does is now it takes that one PO and it makes it much larger. And the larger the PO, the more discounts you can unlock. So for me to sell Alan or anyone one item, the discount's going to be minimal. But as we partner up and we find more products that we can add onto that PO, we're going to open up those discounts. And now I'm going to be able to take him to that 20, 30% discount margin that he's looking for. And the theme when we came up with this idea is looking into 2025, is volume going to increase in manufacturing? We don't know. So how do we decrease the spend? We start consolidating, we start working together, and we teaming up in finding ways that we can unlock new discounts as opposed to just issuing POs to everyone that comes and knocks on the door. So Alan, I want to come back to you now that you heard this, and you and I have had this conversation many times. What steps do you take with your team to make sure you're spending time and issuing POs to the right partners?
Yeah, I mean, I think you summarize what is the tactical purchasing versus the strategic sourcing. And this is a very important topic when you are in procurement organizations, right? Tactical purchasing is issuing POs. So strategical purchasing is what I mentioned. And I mentioned 2 key things in my last speaking session. So I mentioned I need to know the product that I'm going to buy. And the second one is I need to know my market and my leverage on the market. So my company, we're spending around 24, 25 billion US dollars in indirect, just in indirect. I'm not talking about components. I'm not talking of anything like that. I'm talking about machinery and products that we use in your production lines. So it doesn't make any sense for me to buy and don't take advantage of the leverage of my organization. If I do it, if I just go and buy here and in the shop, I'm not giving any value to the organization. So what I need to know is, I know my door inside. I need to know my spend, and I need to consolidate again all my data internally to identify what are the products in which I have more leverage. And then when I identify that using my tools, using the IA now, and using my ERP systems, then I'm going to take decisions, and I'm going to select my partner. And that is the second most important thing. What do you want? Do I want a supplier or do I want a partner? In my case, I want a partner. Because a partner is with you not only when the business is growing, when everything is good, everything is happy with us. But also when the industry is having some hits and we're in a downsize or something like that, that is when you need your partners. That is when the supplier that you select is going to fail to you, maybe because they are looking to make money. But when you select a partner, they are going to be with you. They are going to be fighting. And again, when we go up, we're going to be with our partners. We're going to be with our suppliers. So what do? I analyze the data, but also I analyze my suppliers, analyze my partners, and identify the products and the basics, right? The 80-20. The 80-20 is pretty simple to negotiate the high spend items. Really, really the opportunity in these big organizations is the tail spend. Is all the spend that we have divided between 100, 1,000, or 1,000,000 of different part numbers, because all of them together is going to be maybe 5 million, and then it's considerable. My challenge is to consolidate the data, to identify the data, and to put it together for my suppliers. And to do that, I need a good ERP system. I need catalogs, punch of catalogs. I need to try to eliminate the human factor in the purchasing of my organization. But as I mentioned, it's very easy to negotiate the high spend. It's more difficult, but it's a great opportunity to negotiate the tail spend items. And the second part is, you need a really good partner to support you in the good times, in the bad times, and to get you good discount based on the amount. So they can come to China, they can come to Germany, and they can help me to identify good products and good prices.
That was wonderfully said. And again, how do I tie in marketing to all this? But you nailed it. And what the key word of what you said is partner, right? And that's what I love. And the better you do, the better we do. And you truly want a partner that's going to work with you in the good times and the bad. And that's where marketing comes in. With marketing, you truly have to be a partner. There's a lot of people that just want to sell you this item or sell you that item, but they're not necessarily doing it for you, they're doing it for themselves. So let's talk about how with marketing, you truly need to partner with your customer, because the better they do, the better you do.
Of course, and as I say, the first thing that's cut normally is marketing. So what we don't want to do is just be somebody who's an afterthought. Oh my gosh, I need to get my message out. How do I do it? We want to make sure that we're part of the journey with you, understand the processes that you're going through. We, like you, we obviously do interviews, conversations, so we listen to how our customers learn. We understand how they move on to the next stages. And from What's New in Electronics, as I mentioned, the whole concept of us is to offer a much broader platform, not just to focus on those who can afford to spend, because sometimes the next best thing that's going to happen, these people don't have budgets. They're new, they're startups, but they have a really strong message to put out. So we want to make sure the industry are aware of everything that's happening. Again, save people time, hopefully having a one-stop shop to be able to get all of their information in one place, but also offer different ways of passing that message on. If it's via a newsletter, if it's via an interview, if it's a podcast, if it's coming to your booth, coming to your facility, we want to make sure that we can offer as many different touch points for those people to work with us as we possibly can.
And the key word there, again, as my voice goes out, is partnership. And we only have a few minutes left, but I want to summarize a few things that you actually brought up. You mentioned the startup companies, the low budgets. Well, we just heard from Jabil, $25 million spend. And if you're watching this and you're sitting here going I can't negotiate discounts. I don't spend that much money. I can assure you, people like myself and people like Joel are not only selling to the Jabils of the world. If we did, we'd be out of business tomorrow. You guys are wonderful, but it is the small, the sub $5 million a year shops that actually keep the lights on for businesses like ours. So the point of all that is, even if you're watching this and you're in procurement and you're like, I don't have that big of a budget, work with us because we want to work with you and actually help you negotiate a lower price. And I think one thing that some people are nervous to do when they're not a large company is to ask for that discount. We're in sales. We're not going to just offer the discount up on the front side, right? I mean, we got a job to do, but we're always willing to work with you. At least we should be. And if you're talking with a buyer or a supplier and they're not willing to negotiate with you, that may not be the partner you're looking for, because just like in relationships, they say it's not 50-50, it's 100-100, right? We all got to put a step forward. So, Joel, I'm going to bring it back to you. Big ticket item. You heard from Jabil with their massive budget. Yeah, they can throw their weight around a little bit and they can negotiate and make us sweat, you know? But it's also the smaller people that we have to take care of. So how does Koh Young make sure that the mom and pop shop that has a small budget that's just opening up is treated just like a Jabil?
Well, I think you do just that, right? You have respect for everyone you're talking to, and you take seriously their needs, which are very different. And I think, you know, I'll leave you with this as someone that's potentially buying a piece of capital equipment. Ask the tough questions. You know, one of the first questions we get now is relative to support. How are you going to support us? What is your support structure? And it's almost gotten to the point where if you don't answer that or you can't prove that in the way that they're expecting to see it play out, you don't pass go, right? So ask the tough questions. You know, our job at the end of the day, whether it's a big company or a small company, is to maximize your profit, you know, and that keeps you in business. That makes you more profitable. That allows you to potentially grow, and we grow together as a partner. And we do it in various ways, but that's really the goal. And you know, total cost of ownership, all the things I talked about previously, building that trust, and you know, making sure they understand that we have an opportunity here to, with the tool set we provide and the options and the AI we're using and all these things, to truly reduce your cost, reduce your time to market, improve your yields, all of those things, which, again, equals more money to your bottom line.
All right, let's go. We're wrapping up. The time hit 0, but we're going to get 2 more minutes out of this. Go ahead and give us your closing remarks.
Negotiate smart, and let's take advantage of all the new tools that we have in the market. The AI is really a changer right now. So let's just rely on the data. Let's just choose a good partner. Spend time with your partners, and really try to understand the product that you are going to buy for the procurement guys that we can have here, and choose a good partner. I mean, they are going to be with you in the good and in the bad times, supporting your company. And remember, for a company that is struggling financially, it's 6 times easier to get a cost reduction than to get a new sale. So cost reduction is key in the companies.
Just to remind everybody that when your times are tough, our times are tough, and we're there for you. So we want to work with you to support you. People still need to know what's going on, even when things are bad. So people still are looking for the next big thing. They want to know what they can do next. They want to know where they can improve their business, because it will get better. So just because it's tough right now and you don't think you have a message, people still need to know what you're doing, and they still need to know that you're there.
Wonderful. I appreciate all of you for joining us on this panel today. Ellen, you took my sign off. I was going to say the same thing. It is so much easier to save money than to raise money. So the last thing I'll leave you with is, when you're out there, you're shopping around, you're looking for your partners, look for partners that you can buy more than one product from. Look for partners that you can grow with. Look for partners that become partners and not just a one-time transaction. Because if it's a one-time transaction, once you issue that PO, they don't care about you. So find companies that offer multiple products, multiple resources, and can grow with you and help grow the business together. So thank you all for your time. If you have any questions, we're going to step off the side to make sure that the stage is ready for the next guest. And we thank you so much. Have a great Productronica 2025.